Everybody, it's CGN here, and today I will be talking about autism and the Magic Kingdom. So, people who have autism who plan on going to the Magic Kingdom. I'll be talking about some good tips, how the DAS works, and about some of the attractions. So first, I thought I would talk about DAS. This is the biggest tip I can give you, which is to get a DAS. DAS stands for Disability Access Service. It's a card they give you. It works a lot like FastPass. So, you go up to a cast member or employee at the ride and you hand them your card. They will write down a time to come back, which is typically about 10 minutes shorter than the current wait time. You then come back, you hand it to them, and you either enter through the FastPass line or a separate entrance. And will walk right onto the attraction. Another good thing about it is that they allow you to take more time to get on and off of the ride vehicles. This works great for attractions such as Haunted Mansion, which are continuously moving. The DAS card is a must-have. Another tip is utilize FastPass as well. That way you can make the most out of your visit and do the most amount of rides in the day you can. Most attractions offer FastPass, and I definitely recommend using it. My third tip will be download the My Disney Experience app. This tells you wait times, where you can find characters, and anything you really would need to know. Very useful. However, it's not always 100% accurate. But still a very good app. I thought now that I would actually share with you what to expect out of the attractions. So, let's start out with Main Street USA. For the Walt Disney World Railroad, you have, really the only thing to worry about is there are some dark tunnels. I think there are two, so do keep that in mind. One goes through Pirates of the Caribbean, and the other goes through Splash Mountain. Now let's head over to Tomorrowland and check out the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor. Like the Walt Disney World Railroad, there's really only one thing to worry about, and that's the darkness factor. This one, which is across from the laugh floor, can be a doozy for some people. Stitch's Great Escape. I know the name sounds harmless, and I mean, seriously, who doesn't love Stitch? However, this is a truly terrifying attraction. It's very dark. It can be rough, it's loud, and scary. So, I don't recommend it if you have autism. Next up, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. Really, like a lot of the other attractions, there's only one thing to worry about, and that's the darkness. Carousel of Progress is the same way. The only thing is the darkness. Now, this next attraction is probably the most intense in the Magic Kingdom. Space Mountain. It has multiple drops. It takes place in total darkness. Can be quite rough. Reaches speeds of 28 miles per hour. And can be quite loud. Don't recommend it, once again, for autism. Now, besides Space Mountain is a huge attraction called the Tomorrowland Speedway. The only two things you need to worry about this one is the slight roughness and the relatively loud motors. Now let's do the People Mover. This goes all over Tomorrowland and is like a tram in the sky. Really, the only thing about the People Mover, besides the darkness, is it does accelerate at some point suddenly. And the Space Mountain portion can be somewhat thrilling. Next up are the teacups in Fantasyland. The classic whirl ride in the Magic Kingdom. The teacups is way more intense than it appears. It's super rough, very fast, and is overall a crazy ride. Do not ride it, unless you want to lose your lunch. Next up is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. This is a very new attraction, but it does feature drops, and it does have one short portion that takes place in the dark. However, it's not particularly frightening. And it does reach speeds of up to 35 miles per hour, which, believe it or not, is faster than Space Mountain. Dumbo. The classic ride every small child wants to do. Really, the only thing with Dumbo would be the height factor, that you are quite high up. Barnstormer. This is a kiddie coaster beside Dumbo. So, you can expect a few small dips and a little bit of roughness. It reaches a top speed of 22 miles per hour. Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid is a very endearing dark ride. Omnimover that uses the Omnimover system. It's adorable. The music is great. Very happy ride. You will encounter Ursula though, but only for a second. And Under the Sea is very dark throughout the entire ride. It's only dimly lit. Next up, Enchanted Tales with Belle. Nothing really to that one. Winnie the Pooh. This one, quite a bit does take place in darkness, and there's some quite psychedelic sights in the Heffalumps and Woozles portion, and there is some loud lightning strikes near the end. The Castle Carousel. I don't know the official name, so I'll just call it the Castle Carousel. Nothing really to it, it's just your typical carousel. Mickey's PhilharMagic. This is a 3D production featuring Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Simba, Ariel, Flounder, Lumiere, Peter Pan and Wendy, and many other favorite Disney characters. However, the show is dark inside and is somewhat loud. Also expect typical 3D effects, but they're not the cheap ones in Muppet Vision. These are much more realistic. Pun intended. Peter Pan's Flight. This dark ride looks quite tame. Do not be fooled. It definitely does a very good job at simulating great heights, because you do think you are thousands of feet up. Most of it is in the dark as well, and there are a few small dips. However, you don't really feel them, but it is terrifying because you may think that you're going to crash down thousands of feet. I do not recommend. Across from Peter Pan's Flight, we have probably the tamest ride in the Magic Kingdom. It's a small world. Nothing scary about it, except for the few bumps as you get on and off. Now let's head to Liberty Square. This attraction sounds much more menacing than it really is. Haunted Mansion. It is dark, somewhat jerky, and it does feature some pop-up characters in the graveyard. But don't be alarmed, it is a very tame attraction. Not very frightening. Definitely very humorous. You got to go see the effects. It's some of the best I've ever seen on any ride anywhere. Don't miss it. The Liberty Square Riverboat. This is a riverboat that goes around Tom Sawyer's Island and Liberty Square. Really, nothing to it. Unless, as I read online, one person said their kids were scared of the Haunted Mansion since it goes by it, so might be an issue, probably not. Next up, Hall of Presidents. The only thing really frightening about this is it's in the dark, and however, I think there is one potentially terrifying thing about it. It's boring. Yep. However, it is a good time to take a nap. Let's head to Frontierland and go visit the Country Bears at Country Bear Jamboree. The theater is dimly lit, but is a hilarious, quite humorous theater production of tons of audio animatronic singing bears. However, do be warned if you sit in the front and middle, because there is a bear that comes down from a swing from the ceiling that appears that it's going to fall on your head. Do keep that in mind. Splash Mountain. This ride is like Haunted Mansion, appears much more menacing than it is. However, it is still very intense. But really do yourself a favor and ride it. It has some of Disney's best show scenes. And quite a few advanced animatronics as well, as you go through the story of the Brer Critters. Portions do take place in total darkness. It has 2 small drops and 2 giant ones, including one of 52.5 feet into the briar patch. Don't worry, you aren't going to get poked by briars. That is, unless you're Brer Fox or Brer Bear. It is a very cute attraction, and the finale is worth it. The drops and everything, just, the finale's so worth it. The huge riverboat, it's spectacular. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. As they say, this is the wildest ride in the wilderness. As they say. Basically, this is the same thing as Space Mountain, but not in the dark. And a lot rougher. So you can expect some small drops, short periods of darkness, and it does reach speeds of up to 35 miles per hour and can be very rough. Next up, we're going to head to Adventureland for a Disney classic, Pirates of the Caribbean. This one, like Splash Mountain and Haunted Mansion, appears more menacing than it is. The line could definitely get you very anxious since it does have many skeletons. And once you board your boat, there's even more. So if you don't like skeletons, don't recommend this one. There's tons of them. There's also a ghostly projection of Blackbeard to take into consideration, and features a humdinger of a waterfall. It's a doozy. But I'll give you a tip to where it is. It's It's right after you pass the skeleton with the ship wheel. Hold on tight, lean back, and scream like crazy. Next up are the magic carpets of Aladdin. Basically the same thing as Dumbo. A tame spinny ride. Next up we have the Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise, there's really nothing that scary about it. There is a somewhat loud simulated gunshot at one point as they try to scare off the hippos. So do keep that in mind, but that's about it. Now, this show I'm going to tell you about next is very corny, quite puny, but absolutely hilarious. The Enchanted Tiki Room. It's literally hilarious. It is great. You can see, and I'm going to show you a few close-ups of my chart now. Tell me if you need, do I need to move it? So, thanks for watching, have a wonderful magical day, and I hope this video helped. Goodbye.